What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, April 26th of 2023? I am Alex Cuesta, the name on the show. I still have not been able to shake David. He continues to come back. I do not understand why. Hi, David.
You will never get rid of me, especially now that the Jets finally traded for Aaron Rodgers. I'm way too happy of a person for now. We'll see what happens, but for now.
We'll see what happens. You know, here's my thing, and I'm going to go on a quick little side about the Jets because it's my show and I can. You know, with Jets fans that are like, oh, this is a bad move. You guys are just afraid of having something nice. Jets fans that are poo-pooing this, they just want, and Don LaGreca, I don't listen to the Michael Kay show, but Don LaGreca is the best part of it. And he had a caller that was poo-pooing this about a month ago. And he just flat out was like, you guys like being losers, so you could just complain and have no expectations. So you know what, Jets fans? Embrace this. Aaron Rodgers had like his worst season of his career last year. It would have probably been like the second best season in Jets history. All right. 32 touchdowns, 3,500 yards, almost 70% or whatever, or 65%. Like we would have been a 10, 11 win team last year. So shut up, enjoy Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully we get something fun out of it. Stop being bitches. That's all I got to say. Anyway, before we get into the fun stuff, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth and go find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. So last week, Dave, we had a great show. We had Unwokeable from the Unwokeable podcast on. And if you're listening to this and you're hearing some woke nonsense in your workplace, or your kids are having it in their schools, or just in general, you talk to someone and they say some woke stuff and you don't know how to go about combating it, listen to last week's show. We broke down wokeness and all that nonsense going in there with Unwokeable. So, and he's a great resource. Shoot him a message if you have any problems with that stuff. He's very open. But yeah, that was a great show last week. But this week, Dave, I feel like we're completing an arc right now. Like we started an arc about a month and change ago, and now we get to complete it. This week's guest is Epic Mike. He is the co-founder of the EpicVerse and a regular on Geeks and Gamers, also known as the diversity hire for Geeks and Gamers. But what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Yeah. First of all, yeah, the diversity hire, that is my official title. I gave it to myself, but
Eric doesn't count. Eric July doesn't count.
Eric July does not count. No, my favorite part about it is I put that on my Twitter bio as a joke, and I get people that like unironically would be like, "Oh, so you're just a diversity hire, huh? Wow, what is it like to just be hired for that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just."
Ask KJP. She would be able to answer that question much better. Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yeah. But apparently people are like, yeah, he unironically put that on his bio. I'm like, yep, I love that. I would totally work for a company for no other reason than I'm black. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, I was going to steal the little meek and play it while we were here, but I don't want to get sued. So I decided not to theft that.
You don't want to get attacked by Krista, man. That's scary.
No, Krista honestly is the most threatening person in the whole entire. Just when you don't want to piss her off. You don't want to piss any of the ladies off there. They are the ones that make the whole entire cog go. And maybe that's why we're not super successful. We have no ladies here. Anyway, we are in for a really fun show. Pumped to have you on. Once again, I said we're completing an arc because a month and change ago, we had Josiah Rises on, which is one half of the EpicVerse. You are the other half. I want to start off. Let's talk about the EpicVerse a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Why start the EpicVerse? Where was the need that you saw that needed to be filled?
Yeah, so why the EpicVerse is a beautiful, poignant question. You know, me and Josiah have known each other for a long time. We've been friends for years, and we have been working on just projects here and there for years. We've worked on ranging from board games to TV shows and different ideas, and they've just never been either there wasn't a situation for them to happen, we just didn't have the time, or whatever the reason was. And a big part of this started because in 2020 we were kind of all sitting at home, all of us were sitting at home not knowing what to do, and me and Josiah were like, hey, we want to do something fun and do something unique. So we started this channel called Epic Man. It's still on YouTube somewhere if you look for it.
Nice.
And we were doing food reviews and just hanging out and doing stupid stuff. And it was just a fun time. It was just us enjoying being creative. And we got done with it, and Josiah got really busy again, and I got busy, and we're like, hey, we really got to put this channel on ice. We just don't have the time to keep it going, unfortunately. But we were sitting there and we're like, dude, I miss making content. I miss making stuff. And really what we really wanted to make was movies. And we were like, going into 2021, we were like, we really want to make movies. What if we looked into trying to make some like short films or some indie content or something just for ourselves, And just I was like, dude, I really want to do that. So we just kind of started tossing ideas around. We came up with some ideas for some stuff we wanted to work on and shoot. And we're like, you know what? What if we just made this a full-fledged thing? What if we just went all the way with it? We just decided, let's do a whole production company that we want to just work on, and we'll just start slow and we'll slowly build what we want to build and build a team and do everything like that we want to do. And then a very small YouTuber that not a lot of people know in 2022 decided to create a comic book. His name is Eric July.
No one knows that guy. Who is he?
Yeah, who's that guy?
I think he teaches people at Dougie.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah. So he decided to launch a comic book company called EpicVerse. And for the record, the idea, I don't know who came up with the idea first, but we had the idea for EpicVerse, the name, for a long time before we knew Rippa was doing the Rippaverse and vice versa, because we actually had a meeting where he was like, hey, this is what I'm working on, and I was like, oh, this is what we're working on and stuff. So people are like, oh wow, everybody's got a verse. I'm like, it just works as a name.
It's also official now. Anyone else that wants to do side projects from Geeks and Gamers has to put verse on at the end of it. Like that,
you have to.
Like Ryan needs to change RK Outpost to RK Verse. Like it can't be like, it needs to just change.
Yeah, 100%. You have to. Yeah, it's this is on brand now. But yeah, so Rippa kind of kicked the doors off the independent industry. It wasn't just comics. What he did was a lot bigger than that, because it showed that people that are putting the work in and willing to put the effort in and want to take the risk could potentially succeed in this industry at a level that we've been told we can't succeed in this industry.
Yep.
A lot of times, like you see people do crowdfunding and stuff like that for projects, and it's not that there's anything wrong with crowdfunding. We've seen very successful crowdfunding campaigns and stuff, but it's always, hey, if we can get the resources, we'll do the work, and that's kind of how it's always been. So for a guy to come in and go, I've got the work done.
Yeah.
Now let's put our money where our mouth is, and you guys can buy the product that I have done for you.
Yep.
And for him to do so well and at such a high level, me and Josiah, like 2 days afterwards, we're like, dude, we're like sitting here almost like rubbing our heads, like, we got to get this going. We got to accelerate this, because one, it's not because we're just trying to be the first people, but because one, we want to inspire people to go like, hey, this is the time to do it. So like everybody, like, strap up your boots. Yeah. Let's go now. Don't wait. Like, somebody kicked the door open for you. Don't wait until somebody repairs it and puts a new lock on that door.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing. And the other thing is, this is something we talked about. We want to get into the industry, like specifically movies and TV and stuff, before the bad actors come in and go, hey, we're doing independent stuff too, and we love independent. It's like you'll see somebody like Rippa do something, and then you'll see people follow him that are real legitimate people that love the industry, love comics, love storytelling, and want to do it. You also get people that just want to capitalize on that. Yep. Hey, he's independent. And a lot of times what happens is these bigger corporations will shell out a ton of money to people behind the scenes. All kinds of crazy stuff happens in this industry. So we're just like, we need to get going now, strike while the iron is hot, and get in here and do this. So we just like, hey, we already know kind of what we want to do, and we just hit the ground running with it. And that's kind of what we've been doing, is just kind of running and gunning. We're putting together a team. We're building structure and things like that. But we're also kind of doing in the middle of, like, kind of on the fly, trying to make sure that we know that, like, what we're doing is solid, but also kind of doing it as rapidly as we can, which has been the difficult challenge. But yeah, so that long-winded answer, at the end of the day, why EpicVerse is because I don't think there's a better time than now. I've said this on my Twitch before. I've said this on Tuesday Night's Main Event. I've said this all over, and I'll keep saying it. There is not a better time than now to create something new, to create something unique, to create something independent. Because the thing is, if you fail, this is the perfect time to fail at it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it and you screw up or it doesn't go the way you do, that's okay. Now you can learn how to not do it. You can get up, dust yourself off, and get back to it. Whereas before, people would fail and then they would get shut out of the industry. They get blackballed. Nobody want to work with them, or everybody be, oh, no. They're for every 10 people that fail, one person will succeed. That one person can help other people then grow and build and do things. So like, it's just the perfect time to do it. And with the community that we're in and how much support there is in that community, like this is the perfect group to do it with, because even if you fail or even if what you have isn't what people wanted or whatever, like there's so much room for growth and change and development that like even not reaching to the goal that you hopefully wanted to, you're still going to hit something and you're still going to get a group of people around you that want to support you and want to see the best for you. And that's so rare because the industry and comic books and entertainment in general is so gatekept, it's so exclusive, and it is so run by, like, there's a stranglehold on an industry because it's run by people with power and resources that only let certain people in and only let certain people make movies. And as we're seeing now there's an agenda of like, okay, well, not only can you not make movies this way, but you have to make movies with these checklists in mind. You have to make movies, making sure that you're reaching these diversity quotas and representation quotas. You have writers that have been working in the industry for 20 plus years go, I look at the stuff that I'm seeing being written and it's terrible, but I can't say anything about how bad it is, or else I'll get fired because I'm going to get called a racist.
Exactly.
Or I'm going to get called a sexist, and that's awful place to be, to see that, people are leveraging their diversity or their demographics to keep their jobs instead of them being the best people for the job. I'm all about giving people an equal opportunity, and that's important. It is important to know that, guess what? Like, there are writers that are very creative from every corner of the world in all demographics, poor, rich, straight, gay, black, white, all of it. And those people should all have opportunities, but the opportunity, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is they're just giving the job to anybody that makes enough noise about their quotas and about their demographics, and then they're being giving those jobs whether they're qualified or not. And people that are actually qualified are not being given opportunities, and that's the part that doesn't work. And that's why we're seeing these industries struggling now, because their storytelling is so defunct, their creativity is so in the toilet. They have nothing else but to like steal something and try to like hijack it.
So in my job, I talk to people every day, different people. I'm a driving instructor, and some of these people are really artistic, and not everyone, we don't agree politically on things, and I don't really bring it up, but I talk about their likes, and top to bottom, any of the creative people I talk to, it doesn't matter what they are, demographic, anything, they all mention the lack of creativity and the fact that the forced diversity. And we used to, I've been writing a book for 10 years. It's taken forever. It may never get done. But I talked about how the fact that as I'm writing it, my characters are telling me where they want to go as I write it. I'm not writing it with anything in mind. And I feel like a movie is kind of similar, where you're writing it as you're doing it. You kind of see things like, okay, would this be in character? That's what my character wants to say. Like, this is in character for what they want. And it's different now, where it's like, no, I need to write black gay girl. Black gay girl is the important part. Let's do things that black gay girl may do. And it's like, no, that's not true. The girl could be a lesbian black girl, but that's not all that needs to be about her. Like, what is her personality? Who is she?
Yes.
And we're seeing that. And, you mentioned the community that, big in the geek and gamers community. And one of the things I think is cool is, obviously Jeremy worked his ass off with Geeks and Gamers to get it where it is. And it seems like he's just really, really supportive of, Rippa going off and doing his thing. And obviously Eric has had a gigantic following. He's on the Blaze and things like that. But people, like yourself, like Josiah, who you guys are all from that similar YouTube community, being able to also use the Geeks and Gamers audience to promote EpicVerse, which I think you don't see that very often, where someone has that type of altruistic like mode about them, where it's like, no, I'm cool with you. I like you. Let's get you big. And we saw, with Gary from Nerdrotic, just did that for G Prime and Razor Fist with their, Western that is coming out. Yeah. And we see all this type of cool stuff going on. So what has that been like with, working with Geeks and Gamers and Jeremy, and when you guys kind of said like, hey, we want to do our own thing? What was his response to you guys when you were like, we want to kind of branch out and do something different.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's the biggest thing with Jeremy and Geeks and Gamers. He has always encouraged his people to do their own things. Like he's like, you know what? I've been very blessed to be on the channel and be part of it. It's not about how big you are. It's not about any of that. It's about, like, are you good for this brand? Can you be a team player? And yeah, he's always encouraging people, go make your own YouTube channels, go start your own thing, go work on stuff, give yourself a brand, build yourself a brand. And the help is there, the resources are there, and the advice is there from somebody that's already doing it.
Yeah.
So that's always been huge. But yeah, I remember when, me and Josiah talked to Jeremy and said, hey, this is what we want to do. He said, dude, I love it. He's like, you guys got to go do it. Like you got to.
An awesome base of built in tens of thousands of people that you're talking to nightly about your things going on, which, that's a springboard that a lot of people don't have. And I'm confident that you and Josiah are going to take advantage of it, and that we're going to be able to see something that's freaking incredible when you guys bring some things out.
Yeah, well, that's certainly what we're trying to do, man. It's a lot of work. Movies are a lot of work. Shows are a lot of work, but that's what we're trying to do, is cultivate something special. And Jeremy, we showed Jeremy the very first project that we did for EpicVerse. He's bragged about it a couple times. So yeah, we showed him the very first thing, and he sat down and he was like, wow. He goes, okay. He's like, if you guys keep working like this and keep putting your best foot forward and keep going at it like this, he's like, I'm excited to see what you guys have, and we have grown so significantly just from that first project to where we are now. And Jeremy hasn't seen some of the newer stuff we've done, but the thing is, he's been supportive of us right where we were, right at the very beginning of all of this, just going like, hey, this is what we're just trying to do. And, I think we could have put a lot less work into this and still seen success. But that's the thing. We don't want it to be about like, taking advantage of the audience that we're being given. We want it to be about how can we give you guys the best thing that we have for whatever resources we have available to us now, because the guarantee is that whatever you help us with now, like whatever you guys see now, it's just going to get better.
And you have more pride in the things you work your ass off on, right? Yes. If you just half-assed it and put it out at success, it'll be like, yeah, that one. But you have more pride in, those types of things. So,
yes,
I'm pumped to see it. So, what can we expect? Can you give us any synopses of things that are coming out soon? What type of things can we expect from you guys? Like, give us something. Give us some exclusives.
I'll give you something. Okay, so this is 100% an exclusive because it's kind of been talked about already. Josiah mentioned this on Tuesday night's main event, but I think that's since he's been on you guys' show. So we were working on, and we've been working on a short film, a Viking short film with Jake the Viking and Fear the Beardo.
Yep.
That's one of those projects that
I heard they had a fight scene and it's incredible.
They had a fight scene in it. We put a lot of work into it. It started, I'll kind of give you guys a behind the scene of like the not every project starts like this, but just I was like, hey, listen, I had an idea for like, what if we did a short film and we had this kind of concept in it? And I was like, okay. And he's like, so we do this. I'm not going to say what it is because I want you guys to see it, but he goes, we try this, we do this, and then this is what happens from it. And I'm like, okay, I have an idea. And we've known Jake for a while, and we've wanted to work with Jake for a while and stuff. I was like, okay, I got an idea. So I sat down and I banged out a script and I gave it to Josiah, and he's like, dude, like, this is awesome. Like, we got to do this. And I was like, well, the people I have in mind for this, I think Jake the Viking and Fear the Beardo would be perfect.
They are absolutely perfect for that.
And he was like, oh my gosh, dude. He's like, yes. So we reached out to Jake, and Jake was like, hell yeah, let's do it. We reached out to Beardo, and Beardo was like, hell yeah, let's do it and stuff. So yeah, I will say this. These guys put in a lot of work. I mean, they're, both newer to the acting scene, never have done any choreographed fight scenes, anything like that. And we sat down, we had an awesome stunt guy work with us. His name is Tim. And he sat the guys down, and over 2 days they worked their asses off to get the choreography down. And then the day of shooting, they worked their asses off and did the fight scene and nailed it. And it's a lot of work. I will say this, the fight scene is all done in one take, no cuts.
He's a madman.
Yeah.
He's a madman to do
Let's just do it. Yeah. And so that was the thing that we did. And the hope is that once again, it's a promise of something more. If you guys think what we have now is awesome, then imagine what we can do with more resources, more time, and more backing. More people that want to work with us. Right now, we've been very blessed to have, a lot of connections with geeks and gamers. That's another thing is, we wouldn't have been able to work with Jake the Viking. We would have found somebody else to do it, but they wouldn't have been as good. Like we've been blessed to be able to work with people like Jake and Beardo.
And you've met these guys before,
benefit.
right? So they're also kind of invested in doing well for you. If they agree to it, they know you and Josiah. They've talked to you guys many a times. So there is a little bit of a difference there with just hiring an actor that you don't know, as opposed to some people who you're friends with, or at least friendly enough that, you support each other. So there is something to that.
Yeah, there is. And it's like, there's the adage, like, it's better to be feared than it is to be loved. But if you're loved, like, people will do more for you. It's
absolutely.
It's one thing to be like, oh, I don't want to get fired, so I'm just going to work. It's another thing to be like, I love the guys that I'm working with, and I'm going to do my best for them. And that's what we got.
You'll go to extra mile. You'll do something extra. Yeah,
100%. I'll tell you this.
Go ahead, Mike. That's all you got.
I was going to say we had been a long day of shooting, and we had to get like a couple more things shot. And Beardo was laying on his bed, and he was like exhausted because these guys were working hard. And he was like, I was like, hey man, we just got like a couple more things we got to do here. And I was like, we could do it tomorrow. We could do it today. It's up to you. And he just goes, you know what, Mike? I don't want to let you guys down. Let's do it. And he got up and he like, dude, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man. I mean, these guys were wiped out. They were tired. They were sore and everything, and they did it, and they worked really hard. But that's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, we all got done. We were all happy with what we did. We sat around. We watched the raw footage, and we're like, "Let's go!" Everybody was pumped. Everybody's clapping and like excited. And that's the difference. Is like, and that's something that I think it's missing in the film industry today. Because there's so many moving parts, because you have, like you said, strangers and things like that, it's rare to have like almost feel like a family or like, this is what you're getting when you work on a film. There are very few people in the industry that have that, but like, it's funny when you look at like somebody like Christopher Nolan, or you look at somebody like Quentin Tarantino, they use a lot of the same actors, and a lot of the same people. Tim Burton, because they know what they're getting. Adam Sandler and his crew. They know what they're getting from these projects. They know what they're getting from these people, and so they're going to give their best, and like you said, more than their best if they can, because they already know who they're working with and what they're working to accomplish. And that's what we're hoping to build right now with EpicVerse.
So, I have a few things. Just first off, we've had Josiah on, we had you on. I consider us bros now. I'm just saying a little bit of a early screening so we can kind of talk about it on the show and say how great it is before it comes out. Just throwing that out there. And two, I already offered for David and I to be murdered in Ethan Van Sciver's comic. I am now offering us out to be murdered in one of your movies. I would love to be out there and just be somebody that's just a random hack victim, because I can't act, but I would love to just be like, hey, see that guy that got murdered? That's me.
That's me. I'm dead. I'm
dead. I'm there. I can do the Bugs Bunny croak. I'll put one of those on the ground, and then you'll fire me on the spot.
No, that's all right.
So I'm curious. Funny, I'm curious. Has the Daily Wire or anyone like that approached you guys at all? Because the Daily Wire has been starting to do their movies, and they are, for lack of a better term, they are our big corporation on the right. They're one of them, and now Steve Dace did his movie with The Blaze, Nefarious. Has any of them kind of reached out to you to maybe try and eat the EpicVerse before it exists and be like, hey, we're $1 million corporations. We can give you X, Y, and Z as long as you give us all the rights. Have you had any of that yet?
So fortunately, we actually haven't had any of that. I won't say who we have or haven't talked to. I will say we haven't had any offers to buy the EpicVerse yet. Even if we did, though, we would tell them no. But I will say the support has been awesome. There's been a lot of people behind the scenes that have reached out to us and said, hey, we love what you're doing, or hey, we've had people in the industry like that work directly with Hollywood that have been like, dude, we love what you guys are doing. Like, how can we help? Things like that. We've also had people that work in the independent circuit that have been the same way. We've also had people that don't directly work in Hollywood, but have, they have family members or people that work in there that have also reached out to us. So there's been a lot of that, but we haven't had any offers to buy the company yet. Fortunately, I'm kind of glad because I don't want to turn that down. I mean, like, I don't want, but it's like Ripa said, like if somebody offered us, $1 million to buy EpicVerse, we would tell them, cool, no, but you could invest that $1 million in a project that we're working on, because at the end of the day, this is something I was actually going to say on Tuesday night's main event. I didn't get a chance to last time we were on, but we were talking about, the industry, and a lot of people are talking about like this writer's strike, and they're like, oh, this is my chance to like go work there or try to get a job as a writer. I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you think you have the capability, if you have the connections, and this is your chance to get your foot in the door, get your foot in the door and then do your best. But here's the thing, do not compromise your skill, your abilities for these companies.
Yep.
If you walk in the door and say, I'm going to write for you guys, and they let you write whatever you're going to write, and you pull a Picard season 3 and you put a quality show out with quality writing, get fired. It'd be better for you to then get fired later because you refuse to give up your morals or give up your standing than it would be for you to get caught in the rat race. Because here's how this works. So let's say, me and Josiah, we start the EpicVerse and we're working on things, and then a company, not the Blaze, but let's say a studio that's on the other side, in Hollywood or something, offers, hey, we're going to give you guys $20 million for your EpicVerse thing. And we go, oh, wow, $20 million. That's a lot of money. They take that, and we take that money, and we say, cool, the EpicVerse is now yours, or, oh, we'll work with you guys or whatever. And then we're working with them. And now they have leverage to say, well, we want you guys to try to do this, or can you guys do this a little bit more? Or, we're not seeing this. Can you guys do more of this?
And now you're beholden to them.
Now you're beholden to them. And what you don't see is that when they looked at the product, and they offered you that $20 million, it's because they knew they could make $100 million.
Yep.
They knew they could make $1 billion. They gave George Lucas $4 billion for Star Wars. And at the time, we were like, that's so much money. How could you turn that down? But it's because they knew Star Wars was worth more than $4 billion.
See, what I think you do is, if you fall in that situation where someone says $20 million, say, yeah, but no non-compete. That's it. I'll take your money, but there's no non-compete, because then I'll just take your money and start something with $20 million I didn't have. And now I'll make a 20 million, a much better product with all my money.
Yeah.
And now I'll outbeat you with my former thing, because I'm still better at what I do than you. That would be the only way I would do it, which these companies wouldn't do that, right? Because usually
they would never do that.
20 million, and here's a 5, 6, 10-year non-compete. And that's how they sucker people in.
That's how they sucker people in. It's
yeah.
Dave Chappelle really kind of like blew the doors off of him. I use him a lot in a lot of talks about, like, anytime I'm on shows and stuff, because he kind of exposed the comedy, side of things when he got the rights back to his own show, which does not happen. Like, people don't understand, like, that does not happen in the industry. Like, Paul McCartney watched Michael Jackson buy the rights to the Beatles right in front of him, and he couldn't do anything about it. Imagine you have a product that you worked your whole life on, and somebody that has no interest in you at all, doesn't even maybe know you or something, comes along and buys the rights to your stuff. With
also,
no
why you
interest
don't go public, right? If you really want to keep your stuff yours, you don't go public, because it's very easy to get it taken away from you.
But you'll be pressured to go public because that's what everybody does. But a lot of these companies don't even own the rights to their stuff. A lot of their stuff anymore, but like, he was trying to explain, like, these contracts say some of the most crazy things, like, basically in perpetuity they own your likeness and the likeness of your IP, in the known universe for till the end of time and things like that. There's all these clauses and things that are built into that don't make any sense to a regular person unless you're a lawyer. But they know that when they walk away, they're the ones getting the benefit. They're the ones walking with profit. No company is going to spend into debt for a product that they know that they can get benefit from. They bought Star Wars knowing that $4 billion, they could make way more than that in the future. And they, frankly, they did in the beginning. Now they're not, but they did in the beginning.
I hope they lose 20 billion. Those,
I definitely hope so too.
And it's something that, Crowder tried to expose. Now, I know Crowder's kind of in a little hot water with Dave Landau right now, and the things that came out there, but it's essentially what Crowder was trying to do with the Daily Wire, where it was a very similar thing, basically, like, hey, you're now going to own all of Louder with Crowder. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit because the Blaze still runs a Louder with Crowder Twitter with Brodigan, being the main person behind it, which I always found a little bit weird seeing something coming from Louder with Crowder, but knowing that it's not from him, but it's the Blaze product that they were allowed to keep that Twitter. So it is something like that. Now, I want to jump to another thing. So you and Josiah start this company. You're doing your thing. What are your influences specifically to yourself that make you the writer, make you the person that you are for these movies and TV shows?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question.
Get deep.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. So like growing up, like as a kid, one of my favorite shows like to watch, I still remember this, like getting up every morning, Batman the animated series.
Hell yeah.
Spider-Man the animated series, and then Power Rangers were like my 3 go-to shows when I was a kid.
And Spider-Man with no punching and kicking, only shoulder hits. We didn't realize as kids, but he was only shouldering people.
Yeah.
And now I look back and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, oh man, why didn't you kick that guy? Yeah. And then X-Men the animated series when I was a slight bit older. But so I grew up with all these shows that I didn't realize later were these shows were not just good as a kid that I like was loving these shows. Yeah. They were also extremely well done writing, extremely well done shows that to this day the writing still holds up. Like Heart of Ice or whatever is like is that the name of it? Wow.
I think so. The one with Freeze and everything.
Freeze, yeah, where they introduce him. Phenomenal television.
And like Mark Hamill is still the greatest Joker of all time.
Still the greatest Joker.
Anybody that says Heath Ledger is better than him, Mark Hamill is the greatest Joker.
Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are quintessential Batman.
Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, 100%, man. But like, so I grew up with those, and then as I got older, my mom was really, really, really big on introducing me, to a lot of different books and a lot of different kind of stories and things like that. So like, by the time I was like 10, I had already read like Oliver Twist. I read The Invisible Man. I read War of the Worlds. I read The Time Machine. I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I had read Journey to the Center of the Earth. So I'd read all these classics.
Wow, you read all those racist, bigoted books. Yeah. Your mom exposed you to all that bigoted
how racist of her. Yeah.
Oh my God, terrible.
And I grew up hating myself the whole time. No, I grew up reading these classic stories that were like these, at the time were like these mind-bending like stories that nobody had ever conceived of and stuff like that, so I got I was reading those books at that time, but at the same time my grandmother, this is funny because I just sometimes you don't realize how things build on themselves. My grandmother had every single episode of Star Trek the original series on tape. Yeah, she taped every single episode of it. She had this massive catalog of VHSs. I think she had like 600 VHSs. She had like every single episode though of Star Trek, and I watched all of them as a kid constantly. And then she also had all 3 Star Wars. So I watched the originals, like the unedited originals as a kid. I mean, so I watched all of that stuff growing up. And then as I got a little bit older, my mom would constantly introduce me to like more sophisticated things. So we got into Lord of the Rings when I was a little bit older, once I was able to kind of understand it. And then I got really into like there's a show called Horatio Hornblower. It's called Hornblower. It's a series on BBC. I watched all of that as a kid. So like growing up, I was just introduced to like a myriad of stories and was constantly inundated with just like really good storytelling and stuff like that. And I read a ton of books. That's the other thing. I will say anybody that wants to be a writer, watching television is important. It's huge. Like, cause seeing it put to film is really good. Watching movies is a great way to become a movie maker, but also reading books is huge because reading books lets your imagination click into another level. Certainly. And I do a lot of theater of the mind. That's where I grew up doing that, is like watching these books play out in my head. My favorite book series today still is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like the entire book series is so good.
It is good to read it. Very well done. I've read the first Hitchhikers. I didn't read the whole series, but just the first one is, it's the writing style. It does grip you. From the beginning, you're pulled into the world, and great writers can do that, right?
Yes.
And and that's I'm a Tolkien guy. I love everything Lord of the Rings. Some really on Hobbit, Lost Tales of Middle Earth. Like that's awesome. I read all of those in like the Aragon series. I love the Inheritance Cycle was really good, but like great writers do that, right? They pull you in from the first sentence. That first sentence
Absolutely.
you start reading and you're like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And and again, like you said, I think that's important too, because with the movies, if your first scene kind of sucks, then you're looking at it going, I guess I got to give it 10 more minutes. When that shouldn't be the case, right? You should want to know what's going on after that first scene.
100%, man. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, man. So once I became like a teenager, a little bit younger, like 13, 14. First I was like 11 or 12 when I first started watching it. My mom introduced me to The Matrix. I like lost my mind as a kid watching that movie. I've seen The Matrix well over 100 times. I used to watch it on back to back like all day. I would just have it on loop.
Oh, that's
I would just like watch it and rewind it and watch it and rewind it. I love that movie. And as I got a little bit older, and then we like, because it was mostly VHSs and DVDs. And so like my mom at one point had a bigger collection of VHSs than my grandmother. We had like an actual catalog book. We have like over 1,000 VHSs, and you'd go through the VHSs to find what movies and where they go and make sure they were all put back and stuff. Dude, it was crazy. And then once DVDs came out, she started swapping those out for DVDs. And so we had like thousands of DVDs of movies and stuff like that we'd watch. And I got really, really into commentaries and listening to the directors and the actors and producers talking about that and what went into making these movies and what went into like the ideas behind these films or these ideas behind these scenes. And I would just like sit and watch these commentaries, and like I'd actually get actively upset if I watched a movie and it didn't have commentary, because I was like, dude, what the heck? Like now I can't like learn about this. But it was like all kinds of movies. I remember listening to the commentary on Cat in the Hat, which that movie with Mike Myers is not a kid's movie.
No.
It's something else.
It's fantastic, man.
Fantastic.
I will forever remember multiple scenes in that movie, especially the one where he steps on the rake and he says "dirty hoe."
Oh yeah,
Like shit like that.
And I remember watching that, and the commentary, I think it was the director and Alec Baldwin, and like the whole movie, they're like drooling over the mother, and they're like talking about how hot she is. And I remember like I was like, I don't understand what's happening, but like it was just one of those things. Like so, yeah, all of that like just constantly inundated. And then I graduated from high school, and I had been like writing short stories and writing things. Me and my buddy came up with our own like comic book series that we wrote that were like ridiculous parodies of people that we went to school with. And they all like went on these crazy adventures, and it was just like this nuts thing. And then I graduated from high school, and reality set in, and I started working in a factory for my first job ever. And I was like, oh, this sucks. And I was sitting around bored out of my mind. And then one day, my imagination was like, hey man, if you're bored, like we could just start thinking up stuff. And I was like, okay. So I thought up this story idea for like this television show. And I started like going through the different characters and the different character motivations and the ideas and how long I'd want this show to be. And I have the notebooks. I have 2 notebooks still, and they were just full of these character arcs and these storylines and how I was going to explore these different things and how I'd like put it all together. And I wrote this entire show in like the course of like 3 months. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. I love doing this. And it's kind of where I started falling in love with like filmmaking and the writing portion of films and stuff like that. And as I got older, eventually, I got married, I had kids, and life was just being life. And I didn't have time to do a TV show, but I wanted to. And I was and I came up with other ideas. And my wife is very creative and very, very, very smart. And she's constantly like, you should do something with these ideas. You got to do something with these. And I'm like, you're right, I should do something. And I was constantly doubting myself. And then Q, running into Josiah. And I was like, he's like, hey, I'm this filmmaker, I'm this creative, and I'm just looking for people that want to sit down and create stuff and want to talk about stuff. And so like the first time we ever met, like we brought our families and we sat down at a park, we just started talking about movies, and we talked for like 3 hours, and we're like, dude,
incredible.
This is it. Like this is like we're locked in. Like this is the thing. And we just been ever since, and just constantly talking about creativity and creative things. And then, in 2020, I was like, all right, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is as far as learning actually how to do it. So I got a hold of this group in LA. They're called Act One, and they're a Christian company but they do a course on screenwriting, and they're like, hey, so if you want to be part of this course, you have to write a screenplay, or you have to give them a sample of your writing and stuff. I'd never written anything in my life, as far as like a screenplay or anything. I just knew how to write things. So I sat down. I was like, okay, what do I want to do? What's an idea I have? And I got this idea for a show in my head, or for a TV, or for a movie in my head. The opening of this movie. I wrote the screenplay. It was in the wrong format and everything. I wrote it off. I took a Google outline of like what it's supposed to look like, and I just tried to recreate it. And I sent it in to them, and they were like, dude, this is awesome. Is this your first time? And I was like, yeah, I've never written anything like this. They're like, this is really good for somebody that's never done this before. And then I got a mentor, and the goal of the course was, it was like every day, like 2 or 3 classes a day, and we were going through like meeting different people that worked in the industry and meeting different people that knew what they were doing, have been doing screenwriting, or were teaching it, or were producing, and all these different things, and giving all this advice on how to do things and how to write things. And we do all these exercises on writing and stuff like that. And in the meantime, I was working on an outline for my story, and my mentor was just walking me through, this is how we do things, and this is how you don't do things. And she's somebody who we write very different things. She was like, superheroes, sci-fi, fantasy, none of that stuff's in her wheelhouse, and I was like, but she's like, but what you're writing, I can tell is quality, and I can help you figure that out. And so awesome. She worked alongside of me with that. And so we got through 2020, and I came out of it, and I had this idea of, I knew now how to write screenplays, and I had an idea of how difficult it was going to be to write a screenplay and get it anywhere, because of how difficult Hollywood is to break into. But I felt equipped to be like, okay, let's do something with this. And then, cut 2 years later, and now EpicVerse, and Josiah and me, working on stuff, and me writing, shows and writing scripts for short films and full length features and all this stuff. And just us being as creative as we want to be, and putting that forward and going, okay, let's see if we can give people something that they either haven't seen before, or give them something that they have seen that reminds them of a better time, like movies that they want to see, or ideas that they want to see put to story and put to film, instead of the same crap that we've been getting constantly from, Hollywood. So,
and I love that, because, just hearing you talk on Geeks and Gamers and stuff, it's a different type of thing, right? With the commentary, but like hearing you actually go into what has made you and why you're doing this. Like, anybody could want to embark in an adventure and try to do something and think they're good at it, and you might be decent at it, but you actually put the time in to actually hone your craft, so that when you do put this out, when you guys do put out a feature film and the screenplay is there, it isn't sloppy. It is quality up to the level of a studio, that the screenplay is proper, that, the directions of the actors isn't clunky or awkward, that they are doing the proper thing and the lines are well. But, so you took the time to do it. And it's awesome just to hear, someone with the passion like yours that wants to do something, but is taking the time to do it right. Like, you're not just going out and trying it, and then if it doesn't work, like, oh, well, this didn't work out. Like, no, you're putting in the time. And whenever somebody does something like that, I feel like it's only a matter of time before you do actually strike gold at something, because obviously you're working hard. And if you work hard and don't give up, how many times have we heard actors that are like, oh, my first job was when I was 47, and now they're like multimillionaires, but it's because like they got better at their craft as they went, they hung around, they didn't give up. And it obviously takes support from your family. It takes people being willing to do those types of things and let you pursue it. But it takes a certain type of person, and it's encouraging. It's encouraging for, I think David and I, who are fully, backing Josiah and yourself. And we are very willing and extremely happy, and love the fact that you guys are coming on here and talking about it, and extremely excited to see what you guys do. But then it's like, also you hear this and it's like, I'm even more gung ho, because I'm like, I know this is going to be freaking awesome. I know it's going to, and, and I don't think the expectations are too high. And you're probably sitting there thinking like, hey man, relax. But I don't think the expectations are going to be too high. So just hearing this, it's just, I love it. I love the background. I love the fact that you are a giant nerd like myself and David. And it just makes me even more confident that somebody who's a fan of the things that I'm a fan of is going to write something that I think is going to connect with me and a lot of other people that are starved, right? People that love Marvel, people that love DC. We all went to manga and anime. A lot of your diehard fans went. because manga and anime is still giving you that. And like you said, giving you something you've seen before, but better. What is manga and anime? It's doing tropes, but doing them differently. And, taking an original idea, adding the tropes and doing it your way. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like that's what a lot of mediums are. Like movies could be predictable, but as long as it's done well, we don't care if it's predictable because it's awesome.
Yes.
So, I love everything that you brought there. It makes me even more excited for the EpicVerse. Yeah. I can't freaking wait.
I appreciate that. Like I said, yeah, I mean, there's always that thing. It's always pressure to hear people be like, my expectations are so high. And I'm like, oh God, like I really, but
your CGI can't be worse than Disney and DC and Marvel lately. So
true. Yeah, that is very true. But like, then, the hope is like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do my best and keep doing my best and keep working hard and give you the best that I can. And just know, like, no matter what, like I'm never going to stop working hard. It's a principle in life that I live by, that like everybody at some point should get their ass kicked, because if you never had your ass kicked before, you never, I've met people that have never had their ass kicked before. And those are the guys that are like mouthing off to somebody like in a store and don't realize that guy that's standing there like clenching their fist like could put them down if they wanted, but don't. Like being able to be humble enough to realize that there's always somebody better than you. There's always somebody more skilled than you. I have a very close friend of mine who just kind of does writing on the side, and their big thing is like tabletop, like D&D and stuff like that. They're probably one of the best writers I've ever met in my entire life. Like
it takes quality writing to be able to be a DM, proper dungeon master and to really write those scripts, because a well-written script for D&D is like a book.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You dive into 100%. That world and you're playing an RPG. Like that's the purpose of it, right? It's a tabletop RPG, and it does take skill there. So
yes, it does.
Is that somebody you're trying to poach to help you write anything for the EpicVerse?
I cannot confirm nor deny whether or not they're doing that. I will say this, but there's somebody that if they were willing to, if they have the time to, and if they ever want to work with EpicVerse, they are 100% invited to, because they're a very close friend, but they're also a phenomenal writer. And that's the thing. There are people in some of the most unexpected places that are like some of the best writers, the best storytellers, or are equipped to become the best producers, the best camera people. And that's the other thing about EpicVerse that we really wanted to focus on, is like giving people a shot that don't get a shot and giving them a fair shot. Like the thing is, it's not that the stakes are low with EpicVerse. It's that we're small enough right now that we can bring people alongside of us. The pressure isn't about succeeding by going, we invested $80 million in this movie, so we have to get $160 million to break even, or all of that stuff. That kind of pressure means that you don't have time for experimentation. You don't have time to try something different. The hope is that we can try to do things differently and learn what works and stuff. And so on another side of it, it's like the best thing that we can do as storytellers, as creatives, is put our best foot forward and learn what does and doesn't work about movies, doesn't work about storytelling, doesn't work about interacting with an audience even, because the thing is, like, the unique part about EpicVerse is not that just that we're independent, it's that we're going to send you guys, put out product, and then get to listen to the immediate feedback. We can read comments and hear what people say. We can also listen to people and go, this is what we think. We have the opportunity to do early screenings of something. I can sit down in a Zoom call with like 12 people and go, here, this is what we got. What do you guys think? Things like that. There's a unique situation we're in where, excuse me, I talk so much that my mouth gets super dry. But it's a unique situation where we get to have immediate feedback, and we're not doing it in a way where we're like trying to do this like cloak and dagger thing that Marvel does, where they have to like keep it under wraps and stuff. We get to talk to our audience and work things out and figure things out and then get better from it. And that's the thing, is I think a lot of people, like you said, they'll try, they'll fail, and then they'll just give up. And I'm like, if you gave up, then it wasn't really your dream.
Exactly.
Like that's a brittle spirit. That's what Dave Chappelle calls a brittle spirit. It's like, I gave up in Hollywood because somebody was mean to me one time in a production. It's like, okay, well, like, you know what? People are mean. You know, like, it is what it is. It's
all
like
those girls with Harvey Weinstein didn't give up. I mean, that's a lowbrow joke. I'm sorry,
but some of them did. And then my Hollywood dream is broken, and now they don't work in Hollywood anymore. True. And it's like, wow, your dream was to try to get couch casted in something and you gave up? Wow. Instead of continuing to go on, continue to work through it. And guess what? Like when something is exposed, you go, hey, I was a victim of this, and now maybe I get a chance to get my shot. Oh, look at that. Because we know people that have been blackballed in Hollywood that are out there trying to do their best. Gina Carano got blackballed and got kicked out of Disney, you know, and got kicked out of Star Wars, you know, for no reason.
So I'm curious, real quick with that. Is that any of your goal to get any of the conservative, outwardly conservative men and women in Hollywood to eventually join on and do a movie with you? Obviously, their asking prices are probably significant at this point. But when you guys get to a point, like someone like a Vince Vaughn, I haven't seen Vince Vaughn working forever, but Vince Vaughn is outwardly and unapologetically a conservative and on the right. Gary, Gary Since, how do you say Gary's last name? I'm terrible, but but he's another one. There's a few guys and girls out there that are outwardly conservative and not making as many films. Chris Pratt may be the only one that's not necessarily conservative, but just a level-headed dude that keeps getting work. But is that a partial goal to kind of eventually get some of these more well-known individuals that jives with your and Josiah's philosophy?
I mean, that would be awesome. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a goal, like that's something we're shooting for. We talked about this early on in EpicVerse. I said, we need to be willing to work with anybody that's willing to work with us. Yep. And that's kind of where it is. Like, I wouldn't work with somebody just because they're a conservative or they align with my values, because not everybody that aligns with my values has talent.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's sometimes the pitfall. I use this as an example, and I hate using this as an example because I don't ever mean to detract from what the people are doing, because but Christian films are terrible.
Yeah, they're not great.
They're not great. Like some of the, like Passion of the Christ is probably the best Christian movie ever made. We have some decent quality stuff, and like Nefarious just came out. I have not seen Nefarious yet, but my friend Josiah has, Eric July has, and a couple other people I know have, and they all say it's awesome and they love it. And I'm like, if you guys say it is awesome, but like, the fact is the bar is very low in Christian films, and part of that is because one, the focus is more on the message than it is on storytelling. Yep. And two, the other part of it is a lot of people just hire within the people that line up with their values, regardless of their skill or quality of acting, quality of writing, any of it. They'll just go, hey, I have an idea for a movie. And they'll go like, oh, yeah, well, you're a Christian, so like, I'm sure that's a good movie. And it's like, that's not how that works. Like, and I have a very, very, very strong belief. I don't know if you guys are Christians or not, but I am. And
raised Catholic Christians.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a very strong belief that if your master, the person you worship, the person you serve is the creator of the universe, then your stories should be to that level of creativity. The same level of creativity that people that like, believe that we're calling themselves Christians made these massive cathedrals and made these massive temples to their gods, going, hey, I'm going to honor my God and my Savior with a beautiful piece of art that will stand the test of time, that everybody can look at and awe at, because the architecture isn't just about a beautiful building. It's about like, how can I honor the God that dwells in this building? So like you have like the cathedral, like Notre Dame and stuff. Like there's a love there because there was so much work. The Sistine Chapel, so much effort and work was in that. And that was actually one of the first things I ever heard when I started Act One. One of the ladies that started, her name is Barbara Nicolosi, and she's a Catholic, and she's a very good writer, and she's a stern storyteller and like stuff. And one of the things she said was she held up a picture of Precious Memories doll, and she had a picture of the Sistine Chapel. She said one of these is art and one of these is not. She goes, now one of these will be considered art because it makes people feel good about themselves, but when you compare the two, they're not comparable. The Sistine Chapel is not comparable to a Precious Memories doll. They're very different. And the church has become very okay with precious memory dolls being the expression of art within its industry, instead of going, we should be having the Sistine Chapel. We should be making movies that move people, that shake things, that change things, and that draw people in. I mean, like you have Prince of Egypt is like considered one of the greatest animated films of all time. And it's a story out of the Bible.
And one of the things too is if you're a Christian and you're writing, your values are going to be put in there anyway. It's a similar thing to what the woke are trying to do with their things. If you're trying to force feed a message, then that message is going to be all it's about, and it's not going to be good. But if you're a Christian, like obviously you're a Christian man, so you're writing things based on your morals. You're not necessarily trying to put the message in there, but your message will shine through, whether or not. So you'll get that message across. If you're, the good, wholesome family values, those types of things will be there. And, honoring your mother and father, like the 10 Commandments will shine through. Honestly, those are our guiding principles, and you'll have them in there, and you'll show the moral good and the moral bad will be based off of your philosophy and your belief in your religion, because that's how we all got our moral founding. Like I have behind me, people can't see, Gooseberry Pie. George Alexopoulos wrote that, kids book. That kids book, one of his things is he wanted to bring back wholesomeness to kids books. And this is as wholesome as it gets. It is a fun little book, and it is about a synopsis about a little mouse going to try and find the best berry to go put on the top of Gooseberry Pie, which his mother made, to give to their father, because their father was starting a new project and was hard at work, and they wanted to show him that they appreciate him. That is the synopsis, and it is it's a fun tale. My daughters love the hell out of this book. It's a longer book, but whenever we read it in bits and pieces, because they're 5 and 3, so their level of focus is not very long. But it is a wholesome book, and I just think George is going to write that, because that's just where his values lie. And I think more of us need to realize that if you just write where your values are, if you just write out of your heart, then you're going to write that. You don't have to send the message. The message will be there. So, and I'm pumped again to see that, because I think that you're going to do that. And, I just feel like more now than ever that mine and David's death in these movies will be super creative. So I'm really excited to have a very creative death.
It's funny, man. But that's exactly it. It naturally comes out of you. Your writing is an expression of who you are as a person. It always is. And so there are some people that write darker stories that are, and things like that, but there's still message in there. Like there's still truth to be had in any story that you're given. And the thing is, like, if you look at like Jesus's teachings, most of the time he's telling stories.
It's all parables and stories.
He told parables because he was trying to get to people that didn't understand. He was like, if I tell you what you're supposed to believe, you can take that or you can reject it. Chances are you'll reject it, but if I give you a story and I let you chew on that story and think on that story and meditate on that story, and then you go home and then you accept it for yourself, now that seed's fallen on good ground. Like it's because it's in you that you've made that decision, not in somebody else telling you what to do and other people arguing it or whatever. How do you argue against a story?
And they're timeless. Those stories still guide us in our issues today. You can still go to the Bible, read, a section that would be relevant to us today, and be able to ponder the answer as the way that Jesus would have wanted us to come to it. And, when I look at our world today, everyone just go back and read the story about Sodom and Gomorrah. Honestly, just go back, because we are living through a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, and you need to be that one righteous person that lives in Sodom and Gomorrah that will save them. And you be that one righteous person, because if there was one righteous individual there, then that they were not going to be, the people weren't going to be turned to stone, and things like that weren't going to go on. But there was not a single righteous person there. And I just think that, David and I, whether we knew it or not, starting this, talking to people like yourself, talking to a lot of people that share our values, we're trying to be those righteous people. We are trying to stand up and fight against the evils that we see occurring, the things that we see happening to kids, the things that we see happening to people in general, and the way that they're being misguided. And I think someone like you, someone like Josiah are very important, because while you're not outwardly going like right-wing message, conservative message, you're creating good content that everyone can enjoy. And there's going to be a good message there. And then they're going to look up and they're going to say, oh, who's Epic Mike? Who's Josiah Rises? Oh, they're these guys. Oh, they're Christian. They're on this. This is what they've said about this. And some people are going to turn away and say, oh, I don't like it anymore, because they're so. But you're going to have other people look at it and go, nah, I might not agree with them, but that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what they do next. And that's where we win. The culture war, I feel like you guys are more important than you may even know for what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot. It's one of those things. Yeah, man.
No pressure.
No, yeah, no pressure at all. Yeah, that's really the big thing is like, yeah, there's a universality to storytelling that draws anybody and everybody into it, and then it is up to those people to decide whether or not they want to like take that story, or they want to accept those values, accept that wisdom, because wisdom is wisdom regardless of whether you believe it or not,
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like I have met people, left, right, center, libertarian, all kinds of things, that they're like, hey, listen, I just want good storytelling, or I just want quality art or entertainment. That's all I'm looking for. And that's all that matters to them. And so anybody on any side can give that to them. And the problem and the reason sometimes we end up in the places we do is because any level of extreme, and I don't want to use the word extremism, but any level of extreme belief in a political system,
Getting to be a
ideology
zealotry or something
will
like
make
that.
you a
Yeah.
zealot. Yes, because guess what? Like Paul was probably one of the best Jews that ever lived. He was killing a whole lot of Christians for it, and that's the problem you don't want to end up in, is you never want the pendulum to swing so far the other way that now you're persecuting or harming or attacking people for telling stories that you don't think fit with your alignment, but you also don't want to be in a position where you attack people and say you're doing wrong because you're not including the people I think you should in your stories. There's a balance to everything, and there's a way to reach people, and that's the thing at the end of the day. Like, no matter what your political alignment, we're all people.
Yep.
And that's the thing I think sometimes is forgotten, by Hollywood, and sometimes, by some of the more conservative people who have kind of shunned entertainment and shunned nerd things, and they're like, oh, that's for virgins and guys that live in their basement, and I'm like, a lot of us are like married with kids, and we grew up and, like, we love this stuff, man, and like we wouldn't even be the people we are without those things.
Yeah.
Most of those guys don't even have a girlfriend though. And have never pulled a girl in their life. A lot of them are incels. Not gonna lie. A lot of them are incels that are saying things like that, and it's kind of pathetic. And I'm excited for the first review to say that you made a white supremacist movie by the that I've never even met you. I'm
because
excited.
they will. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I've definitely been called a racist and talked about like that, and people are like, well, it doesn't matter. It's internalized racism. And if it's not internalized racism, then it's just that I hate black
You're
people.
little b black. You're not big b. You're not politically black. Didn't you know that? You heard about this. Like you're the wrong type.
My bad. I should just go somewhere and like preach on the corner about being black all the time, and then that'll make me that. I mean, it's crazy to me to be in the situation we're in. Yeah, where that's the case, and somebody will just say, you know what? I made a snap judgment about who you are as a person, and I won't ever come up off of that regardless. But the beauty of it is, by putting in the work and doing quality work, there will be people that want to hate me that can't.
Yep.
And that's okay.
And the word of mouth will be king, right? Because you'll get those people that are kind of in the middle, and people like us that are supporting you. We're closer in ideology, definitely closer in faith to you. People aren't going to listen to us, right? When we go to them and say, listen to this, because they'll be like, no, we know what you are. You're obviously supporting him, but it's going to be those more middle of the rung people that maybe are socially left and a little more fiscally right that do watch it and go, this was really enjoyable. Then they go to their more extremist left friends and say, hey, watch this. Oh, that's by Epic Mike and Josiah. Haven't you heard about them? Yeah, I have. And, but it was really good. And eventually getting those people to watch it and going, I hate those guys, but this was a decent product.
Yes.
And that's where it will break through. And the culture will break through
shift. And
yes, if it's good, it will occur and it will continue to snowball and get good. And, I'm super excited about what you guys are doing. And, we had a lot more to talk about on this show today, but
I ran honestly, a lot.
I loved every moment of hearing what the EpicVerse is going to be, what you as a writer, as one of the co-founders, and I couldn't stop it because hearing your passion for what you're doing, I think is important. And I think it's something that, you obviously have your Twitch channel, but a lot of people do know you from Geeks and Gamers, and that's a very big group of people. So we don't get to hear you being this passionate and describing things the way you are as often. So I really loved this show, and I really thought this episode was great, Mike. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me. Honestly, it means a lot, and I just love meeting the different people in our community, and even like on the outskirts of our community, they're like, "Oh, I kind of churchly know you and stuff." So, no, man, it was an honor. It always means the world to me to hear people are excited for what we have going on. It's very surreal, but the thing is, like at the end of the day, I just hope that if it inspires one person to go out, if it inspires you to sit down and go, "I'm going to bang out like 15 more paragraphs in my book," like awesome. Because that's at the end of the day, like you're going to write a book that nobody else in the world can write. It doesn't matter. Even if it looks like somebody else's story, it doesn't matter. Nobody can write the story that you can write.
David's read the first 3 chapters and he's mad at me for over a year now. Multiple years for not finishing it.
Yeah, but it's encouragement to you, to David, to anybody that wants to create. And it doesn't even have to be books. It doesn't have to be stories. It doesn't have to be entertainment. It could be literally like, hey, I have an idea for a new way to build a chair. It could be anything. Go out and do it, man. Because like, this is the time. And the thing is, you may do something that you don't realize inspire somebody to make something even better than you. My hope is that I inspire people to write stories that blow my mind. That I want that. I want my kids to go like, hey, I like what you did, Dad, and that's awesome, but I think I have a better way to tell stories than you do. Or whatever it is, because that it's precept upon precept, it's glory to glory. Like you build upon things that have existed before. I don't want to be the stopgap to stop people from going past me. I want people to blow past me and explode onto the scene with something amazing and know that, like, guess what? I got your back. Because it's not about me being the best. It's about me doing the best I can do and everybody else around me doing the best they can do. So yeah, man, I appreciate it a lot. I really do.
Absolutely. Dave, before we jump out of here, you have anything to say? Because you were just watching and we're officially fanboys, so we're just kind of hanging out. We're really fun.
Usually I say a little more, but I haven't said much. You guys have been killing it, honestly. I have no reason to say anything. But I might take a little bit longer on my final word, though.
Go for it, Dave.
And I will say this. I loved what you said, Mike, when you said your philosophy there. Everyone should get their ass kicked at least once. Because in general, I mean, the way I look at that, it's basically the hero's journey where, you're going to have to go through some suffering. You're going to have to go through some suffering to get to where you need to go. And honestly, that's not what we see in like a lot of things nowadays in entertainment or in just people's lives. And even if they say themselves are going through suffering, they never even try to push out of it. They, in fact, lean into it and then try to use it and utilize it for something else instead of getting past it and going up that hill. So, absolutely. Yeah, and I am thoroughly excited for the EpicVerse. I cannot wait for everything that you guys are going to come out with. I'd like I said, I'm so excited. And then, like Josiah talking about being an absolute fucking mad lad and having a full continuous shot of a fight scene. I mean, I know your writing is going to be impeccable. I do. And like I said, I'm just excited for it. Can't wait for you guys to put out stuff and then eventually get Gina on there because I'm kind of expecting that. I'm not going to lie.
That's probably one of the people he couldn't talk about. Like, I see that he's cheesy smiling. You guys can't see. It's got to be. I
can't talk about who we have or don't have. But
we're not going to.
I'm a big Gina Carano fan, so yeah.
Everyone should be.
All in all, just like Mike said, and I know I actually echoed the same thing last week with Unwalkable did, but there's a huge vacuum out there for everything. Go whatever the hell you want to do. I mean, like Mike said, life hit. He was in a factory. He got bored. In fact, it made me think of like, the themes of like a grayscale, and then eventually color starts coming out because of imagination and everything. Yeah. But like, listen, if you feel like you stuck somewhere, it doesn't have to, like Mike said, it doesn't have to be entertainment. It doesn't have to be writing. It doesn't have to be any of that. You can create a chair. You can do whatever the hell you want. There's a vacuum for stuff. It's just go and do whatever you want to do. And you might fail. In fact, you might likely fail in some way, but you push through and you keep going and you'll inspire and you'll succeed in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Failure is one of the greatest teachers. And the beautiful thing for like people that have faith, and this is sometimes why it's important to have faith in the creative sphere, is like when you fail, you have a father that like is happy that you did what he did, by being creative. Like, like God rewards creativity in his people because that's what he is. He's the ultimate creator. He loves it. He just told stories. He would be proud to see other people around him telling stories that try to inspire hope in people. He was a carpenter. He would be proud to see his people building things with their hands that mean something and is of quality work. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, that's the scripture. Like, whatever your hands find to do it with excellence. Because you never know what you're going to create. You never know who's going to touch that creation. So yeah, man, I love it. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate it. So.
Thank you.
And and that's what I tell everybody. And I told you I talk to a lot of creatives in my job. When I tell them, and they're like, a lot of them are nervous about putting out what they have, and that's definitely something. Like me doing these podcasts and starting, I'm comfortable now. When I first started doing it, I was nervous as hell.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, someone will like what you do. There is always some like-minded people that do like what you do. Now, whether it's millions or tens, you're going to get somebody. So you might as well go take that shot, because the chance of it being millions is actually is a lot higher than people think. Yes. So, again, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Again, he's Epic Mike, co-founder of EpicVerse. You can find him on Tuesday Night Main Event, Geeks and Gamers, pretty much every week. And
Day Talker podcast.
And Day Talker podcast. Yes.
Podcast.
Day Talker podcast. Any plugs on anything else where, people can find EpicVerse stuff, where people can find you on the socials?
Excuse me, I keep coughing now because I talk so much. Yeah, EpicVerse.tv is the main place. Like I said, keep an eye open. I know people have been wondering about where the updates are. We're playing everything very close to the vest. I don't want to give you guys more stuff and then you have to wait longer. It's like giving somebody a sip of water, like, instead of going like, trust me, like we're trying to build an oasis here, not just a sip of water. So yeah, check me out there. Just keep supporting Geeks and Gamers. Keep supporting Daywalker Comedy. Amanda C. Miller, she's awesome. She's professional, but she also is a great host. So keep going out and checking out there, and yeah, keep coming back here, guys, supporting this podcast. I love what you guys are doing with this.
Thank you.
You guys ask really great questions, and I think that you guys are really got something really special going on here. So yeah, man.
Thoroughly appreciate that. High praise from you.
Maybe one day I'll get out to a meetup and hopefully meet you and Josiah and everyone.
Dude, that would be great. Yeah, trust me, there's going to be a lot more meetups once EpicVerse launches. We're going to be doing a lot of circuits and moving around and stuff. So yeah, man.
Love that.
I appreciate it.
I love it. So what we got from that is Mike and Josiah are both teases. They are giant. That is what we get. Yeah, they are giant teases, and they're also cute. So no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so everybody, again, Alex Questa Show. If you like what you heard, please give a like, share, follow, subscribe.
Yes.
Rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Again, like I said last week, spread this word of mouth. If you have anybody that likes entertainment, they don't even have to be on the right. They like entertainment and they like hearing people passionate about entertainment. Tell them to find this show, because you're not going to find a show with a creator that is more passionate about his craft. And hearing, we don't get to dive into writers. We don't get to dive into producers. We talk to a lot of actors, but we don't talk to the people behind the scenes that give the actors their direction, their purpose. And it was cool to hear somebody that is bringing these actors and what they do, the base of them, their skeleton, their bones. And just hearing your inspiration was fun. It inspired me to be better. I will eventually go try and write the book again, but books of, it's another story. That book has pissed me off so many times. But again, Alex Questa Show, we appreciate everybody for listening. We will be back again next week. So long, y'all.